Hello everybody, Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. It is time for another Make It Monday. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from White Bear Lake, Minnesota, and I'm so grateful that you're taking time out of your schedule, whether watching me live or on replay. I really do appreciate it. I am here tonight because I love to share joy one card at a time. I like to share how to make cards and show people that they can be creative. Hey Julie, thanks for joining in. And I also like to spread joy by sharing my cards with other people too. And tonight, I kind of teased you a little bit last week, but there's this new designer series paper that is in the annual catalog, and it's called Thoughtful Journeys. And I teased it right at the end of my video last week that I was going to use that this week. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to make. And I've come up with what I consider to be a pretty simple layout, but it's one that really shows off this gorgeous designer series paper. It's more of a scenic type paper, and I didn't want to lose a lot of the scenery by covering it up with either sentiments or other layers of paper or that type of thing. So that's what we're going to focus on. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I did end up working for a little bit this weekend, but I was lucky enough to get to spend Saturday out in some of our beautiful state parks along with my family. My daughter was supposed to join us. Unfortunately, she got a little throat thingy going earlier in the week. But we were out at the park and one of the state parks nearby. And my granddaughter came with, and man, that girl is a little scamperer. She can climb and climb, and it just doesn't faze her. So that was a lot of fun to get out. And then my daughter was able to join us for dinner, so we actually had the whole family together. It's been a while since that's happened, and my mom and sister were there too. So that was kind of the highlight of my weekend, being able to spend time with family. And so here we are tonight, getting ready for a quick Make It Monday. It looks like Zelda wants to join us tonight, so she may or may not make an appearance or two here in the video. The other thing that I want to mention before I forget too is tomorrow, May 21st, Stampin' Up! Is offering free shipping on orders of $75 or more before shipping and taxing. So if you've been thinking about placing an order, tomorrow might be the day to do it. Oh, you don't need to see their tail like that, Zelda. Nobody needs to see that. If you've been thinking about placing an order, tomorrow might be the day to do it, just because free shipping. So let me go ahead and flip my camera over and get started here. Just a second, please. And I do apologize in advance for any shaking that might occur. I never quite know how smoothly it's going to go each time I do this. I'm also plugging in my iPad there so that I'm sure it doesn't lose, and that helps me also see where I am at when I'm focusing on my card layouts. Sometimes I forget to stay centered and on camera, so it just helps me to be able to see what I'm doing on my iPad. One of my little secrets going on here, I guess. And today it looks like I might be having some issues getting straight. All right, I think I'm going to leave it just like that. So the paper that I'm sharing with you tonight is called Thoughtful Journey. And I think as you look at it, you're going to recognize some ways that you could use this paper in making cards. I am sharing a birthday card, a thank you card, kind of just a hello, and a sympathy card with the ones that I've made already. And then I think my other two are going to be just a simple hello and probably another happy birthday card. But I think the paper will kind of drive for some of us just exactly what scene we're going to create with the cards. So to start with, I'm going to share with you the colors. And honestly, these aren't always colors I would use or put together. And so I played a little bit. One of the cool things in the annual catalog is there is a color wheel. Years ago, we used to have a color coach. And in the catalog, there's this color theory Rumor has it something like this may become available for us in a similar format, maybe not necessarily exactly like this. But what I like about it is in the catalog, it also talks about different ways to choose your colors. So it could be monochromatic, it could be complementary, where you're choosing colors on the opposite side of the wheel, analogous, so colors next to each other, or triadic, colors that are spaced evenly apart on the wheel. So for those of us that might be a little color challenged, that could be a helpful tool to have. So that is on page 132 and 133 in the annual catalog. And then the paper that I am working with is on page, I had it marked and then I just lost it, page 47. And it's part of the Thoughtful Journey suite of products. And honestly, right now, the only thing I have purchased is the designer series paper, so I don't have any of the dies or stamps or anything else to go with it. These are certainly beautiful and have great sayings to go with them, but you may also have something similar. But right now, I just knew I wanted this paper. So let me show you the colors that go with that paper real quick. Pretty Peacock, Blackberry Bliss, Petunia Pop. I think that's what that's called sometimes. Yep, Petunia Pop, Mossy Meadow, Lost Lagoon, Pool Party, Peach Pie, Misty Moonlight, Calypso Coral, Boho Blue, Cajun Craze, and then it also includes the Wild Wheat, which I'm using in the card that we're sharing tonight, but that's that color I mentioned to you last week. Not sure if I like this color, so I haven't used it very much. Well, tonight I'm going to try using it. I think you'll agree it isn't a bad color with the combination that we have. So now that I've shared with you the cardstock, lots of different color varieties and from different color groups. So I think that's always kind of handy to have. And then we've got on here just the designer series paper, and I've got kind of front and back stacked together so you can see it. So just kind of a meadowy scene. And then the back sides are kind of a little bit more abstract, but you could even cut out this little pile of flowers here and use that as an accent piece. So front and back. And then we've got this gorgeous one. And I've used these first two already in cards, so I'll share those with you. And the back side of that is just kind of that all over pattern. I think this goes like this, and the reason I think that is, to me, this is kind of the green grasses, a little bit of blue, maybe some pine trees, and then you've got the sun setting in the sky. Be curious if anybody else sees something different in that. That's what pops to my mind first right away, and then just kind of a pretty peacock all over color. And then again, we've got this floral, kind of a Petunia Pop or Blackberry Bliss with Mossy Meadow and a little bit of that Wild Wheat. We are going to, I did not use this. I thought about using this. And some Boho Blue. And then kind of an all over background. And then we've got this one, and I kind of thought if you did like a 3x3 square, or maybe this one a little smaller, you could use that like it was a stamped image and create a very simple card with that too. Just a thought. And this is gorgeous too. Again, I kind of see the water going into the sky. And then we've got sort of a, I guess this is kind of a wintry sort of scene for me, with the purple and blue hues in here, the pine trees, and kind of more of a wintry sky. I don't know. And maybe because this back side looks kind of like frost to me. And then there's this beautiful one, which again, you could do your squares and have that as your focal point on your card. And an all over background design. And then this one, I'm not really sure. It could go either direction. This could be water and this could be land, or this could be land and a sunset with the sky. I don't know. Use your imagination. And then we've got this one, and this is what I'm using this tonight to demonstrate because it does have that wild wheat, and I'm kind of pushing myself to use it. So we're going to see what happens with that, and just an all-over design on the background. Here's another really pretty one, again with those white grasses, I guess you'd call it, that you could use. And here we've got this. Initially, when I was thinking about this on my way home from work, I was wondering if I could do the Joseph Technicolor Dreamcoat sort of technique where you emboss on it and then color it with black, and only some of the color will show where you've embossed on it. But I'm not sure that the design is all over enough and bright enough to be able to do that. I may still play with that a little bit, but decided I wasn't ready to do that tonight. And then here's just another piece with some color and patterns that you could do that. So a lot of the papers in here that I'm showing you tonight, you would be able to do with the card layout that I'm going to share with you. And what this is kind of an easy way to use all of your designer series paper without wasting it. I'm making 2 cards out of 1 sheet of designer series paper. And so the first set of cards that I want to show you are these 2. And this is 2.5 inches wide, and this piece is 3.5 inches wide. So that's where you're getting your 6 inches. And then I just trimmed off a little bit from the top and the bottom on these based on where the trees were hitting and things like that. Ran another piece of cardstock just through an embossing folder and added a ribbon. Simple thank you here on Very Vanilla. Here I just stamped right onto the paper. And then I've just got a blank card piece inside. So there's a set. And then here's one where I kind of reversed how I did my labels. Again, I used my embossing folder to get a little texture. Happy birthday card. May all your wishes come true. This one just was very simple and soft, so I've made it into a sympathy card. And I will put pieces on the inside of that one. I haven't gotten that far yet. And then we're going to attempt to make similar cards tonight using this piece of the designer series paper. And I deliberately didn't cut it because I wanted to show you kind of my thought process on how I decided where I was going to trim off on the top and bottom of it. So we'll get to that in just a second. But here I've got 2 pieces of the wild wheat, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then for one of the cards, I have a piece of Pretty Peacock, and this measures, I did do 1/8 of an inch type measurements. So this measures, so my apologies to those that really, really hate using 1/8 of an inches. This is 5 3/8 by 3 5/8. Okay, so I just did an 1/8 of an inch bigger than the piece of paper we're going to cut. And then I've got a second piece of the Pretty Peacock cardstock, and this measures 2 5/8, again by 5 3/8. Now, that one measures 5 1/2. That is going to be too big if I'm putting it on 5 1/2 inch cardstock, isn't it? Nope, it must be measuring 5 nope, it is not. Good thing I was playing with that. So we're going to trim an 1/8 of an inch off on this one so that we have it at 5 3/8. All right. And then last but not least, I've got another piece of cardstock that is 1 5/8 inch by 5 3/8, if I cut it correctly. And then on this one, instead of embossing, I'm going to make another layer. And so I did cut into another piece of this designer series paper just so that I could use that back piece as my offsetting pattern on the side of the one card. So for this one, the pattern is spread pretty evenly, but you kind of want to look to see, is this going to be better at 3 1/2 inches from this side? So I kind of get that. Or is it going to be better 3 1/2 inches from that side? I kind of like it with the larger part coming in from the side. That's all personal taste. You get to decide how you want to do it. So I'm going to cut this piece at 3.5, which automatically means this piece is at 2.5. Now, with the two colors that I'm using, I'm going to cut everything off the top. I need to make this 3/4 of an inch shorter. And because I'm really not using too much of that boho blue, I don't care about losing all of that. I actually want to keep more of this pattern in here. So I'm just going to trim this at 3/4 of an inch off, which will get me to 5.25. And that leaves just a little bit of the blue. And I'm not hanging on to these scraps. You are more than welcome to do that if you choose to, but for me, they just aren't big enough to hang on to. It took me a while to get to that point, but now I'm okay getting rid of scraps that size. All right, so I am going to come back in with a piece of this ribbon. This is a ribbon that we did have available to us in the, I don't remember if it was one of our mini catalog or the annual catalog that we've had last year, but it's the Pecan Pie, and it is a center stripe ribbon. This was a carryover product, so we can still use it. I get kind of very vanilla-ish tones in here, so I'm choosing to use that. That might not strike your fancy, but it does mine, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, to get started, the first thing that we need to do is just fold along our score line. And remember, if your card doesn't quite line up with that score, you can always line up your edges a little bit and then just kind of reposition just to skosh that score line. And we're going to burnish both of those pieces. And then we're just going to kind of start assembling. So I'll start with this little piece first. I'm going to grab my adhesive. And, you know, I wonder, nope, I want to have this broken up. I was just debating if maybe I do keep the pattern there, but I'm not going to. And I'm just going to center this on here. Now I've got these really tiny 1/8 inch borders. So I find them sometimes to be a little more challenging. So just sort of watch for your placement, kind of see if corners are the same, and you should be pretty good to go. And we'll repeat that process on this piece. And remember, with your adhesive, a light touch in that check mark and it tends not to gum up on you. I find that if I press harder, I run into more issues. So I do constantly have to remind myself of that. All right, so we've got this section of card done. We may as well go ahead and attach this. Now, as you're watching me make these, you're going to see that these are very quick and easy cards. I think it would be fun to make a little gift set of cards to give to somebody using these layouts and the designer series paper. Quick, easy, and it makes absolutely gorgeous cards. And I didn't have this quite centered, so I'm going to try to pull it up as best I can. I don't care if sometimes a little bit of the paper gets peeled up in the tape. I'm more concerned if I wrinkle it a lot. I think I'm going to be okay, but I will put more adhesive when I do that. All right, we're going to try this again. I'm still off. You think I'll get lucky and be able to do this twice? Yes. All right. Let's try this again. And of course, each time I cut these pieces, when you're using those there 1/8 inch borders, you do have to be a little more precise. It's not quite as forgiving as using the larger borders. All right. So then the next thing we're going to do is just assemble our card bases. This is pretty straightforward. We're just going to attach this right to our card. Now, when I was playing with my layout, I toyed with whether or not I wanted this centered and have even borders or off-centered a little bit. I went off-center on my first two cards, so I am going to center this one. Actually, I did center this one, but it was off-center on this one. And so now that I see it, I'm going to go off-center again. So here I'm just making sure that my top, bottom, and side here have the same border. All right, isn't that pretty with those colors? I'm still not a super fan of that, but I think these colors go together very nicely. So I'm pleased with how that looks. And then this card, I'm going to assemble like this. Now, one of the things that I found when assembling is, see, I'm pressing hard. Go light and touch. Light touch. Is that I did have to make some tweaks to the measurements on this piece just a little bit. I am going to just butt it right up to this piece, and I think I'm still going to be struggling just a little bit. So to trim this, because I want to try to keep that border pretty even anyhow, I am okay trimming this right up to the designer series paper, and I'll show you why here in a second. So I'm just taking a teeny bit off, a skosh as somebody might say, and I can still butt it up to here and have that even border because of the border on this piece, and that seems to have solved my issue. So I want to just double check. If I do that, yep, it pretty much gets me right to the edge, so I'm good. All right, I'm afraid to take off anymore because then it might end up being too big a gap. So then I'm just going to line this piece up and shoot. I forgot one thing I was going to do on this piece before I stuck it down. I'm being lucky with the adhesive gods tonight. They're being very forgiving for me. I wanted to put my ribbon on here too. This pattern is kind of loud, so I'm hoping that the ribbon will soften it up just a teeny bit. But I wanted to show you just another option for how to make the card, and I thought this will work. All right, so I put tape over the ends of my cardstock when I'm going to be putting adhesive or ribbon on, and that way I can just fold that ribbon right over and it holds on. Now this looks like it might be a little off-centered, but let's see what happens once we get it on our card base. I think it's going to be okay like that. So I'm not going to move it a whole lot. And I do think that kind of softens things up just a teeny bit going next to it. All right, so then we are down to stamping some images on the outside of our card. So I am using the stamp sets that I used tonight on all these cards. Let's see, these two came from this set called Unbounded Love. And there's some very pretty simple sentiments in that one. So with sympathy and happy birthday. This set has a little bit bigger phrases, just to note, thank you. And I'm going to use this set tonight for my card. I'm actually using hello and birthday wishes. And I'm just looking to see. I kind of think I am going to use this card. I don't know which way to go. I think I'm going to use just the little hello on this card and the birthday wishes on this card. And I've cut just a piece of very vanilla cardstock, and I've got my Pretty Peacock ink pad, and I'm just going to stamp hello right onto, and I should be using a stamping piercing mat so that I've got that foam, but I'm hoping that I can get by. Hey, little cat, can you stop scratching my chair? Thank you. The other cat has come down now, and she's been upstairs by herself, which means she's desperate for attention. And I'm just trimming off a little bit so that this is more centered. Oh, that was a little bit that I took off there, wasn't it? Oh, you can't even see me. My apologies. I was trying to take off just a little bit, and a little bit is what I took off. So I'm going to try that again. And because this is a small amount, I'm actually going to start my blade in the middle, because you will get hopefully a smoother cut. And gosh, that just ruined that whole thing. So let's try this. We're going to take off a bigger chunk. The hello still fits in there. And actually, I'm going to leave it. It's actually ended up being pretty centered. We're leaving it. Sometimes you just have to know when to stop. Alrighty, and then the other piece that I'm going to do is the happy birthday sentiment. And I actually think on this one, I'm just going to stamp this right onto my paper. I like the softness of that look. And so we're just going to put birthday wishes right down here at the bottom. And we're done. That is all we're going to do for stamping. So using little words like this to enhance your card and letting the paper do the work is another way to be able to mass produce cards without having to do a lot of fussy cutting or anything like that. Now, I do think we'll get this attached. These cards might need just a little bit of bling to brighten them up. We'll stick our hello greeting right down here in the corner with our, not covering up too much of our designer series paper. So let's come back here, and I'm going to pull out these adhesive back textured dots. We used those last week, and we're just going to pull off a couple of them. And sometimes it works real well just to line up a couple of them like this in a corner. And you don't have to do anything else. They're not as lined up as I would like them, but they're better now. All right, that just adds a little bit to that card. And on here, let's just put a couple of them like that. And that adds a little bit more pop on those cards. For these cards, what I was thinking would work really well are the iridescent, I think they're called. Yeah, the iridescent pearls. I'm not sure. No, I don't want those. Just a couple of the iridescent pearls, and I think we'll be good. Kind of go like that, and then here, maybe we'll pop one here, and one up there. Just adds just a little kind of surprise to that. And on these cards, I think I might grab a couple of these gold ones, and we'll just put a few there. Trying to leave that cat hair behind. And we'll go like that. And again, it just is to decorate them up just a little bit. And so there is, like I said, a quick and easy layout using that Scenic Designer Series paper. There's a lot of possibilities with these, so I'm going to play some more with it. But I hope that you can see how quick and easy these are. They'd make a lovely gift set. Pretty versatile with this paper. So we've got birthday, sympathy, thank you, hello, just a note. Kind of spreading them all out and seeing the different patterns and designs that we can make. Hopefully it's inspired you and you feel the creativity flowing through you to go out and make your own cards. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.